Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to go over the instructions for the final essay assignment in our major authors course. These instructions have already been posted on Omnivox for about 2 weeks now. I wanted you to have them throughout our conversation, or at least most of our conversation on Othello. In this video, we're just going to be going over them in more detail. If you have any questions that have been left unaddressed by the end of this video, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to address them. So, first of all, this assignment is going to allow you to demonstrate your understanding of Shakespeare and his play, Othello, particularly focusing on the issues of gender, public and private life, theatricality, and humanity, all these major themes that we've been discussing in relation to the play. Now, the essay will be due May 15th by the end of the day. There is an assignments tab on turnitin.com to which you can submit this essay. Several key points. Make sure that you're using proper MLA citations. You'll notice that a video on MLA citation format has been posted on YouTube via Omnivox. Please refer to that if you have any questions about citing Shakespeare, or if you'd like to confirm the appropriate method of citing Shakespeare, also feel free to reach out to me. It is standard format in that you have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The essay itself should be between 1,000 and 1,200 words in length, not including quotations. Try to remember to use short quotations. Provide focused, in-depth, detailed analysis of specific phrases, concepts, ideas, statements, or actions, as I've modeled in the context of the video lectures that have been posted thus far. Essays that are over 1,400 words, not included, or quotations not included, will be penalized. And make sure that you indicate your word count at the end of the essay. Use of references. This may be the most important thing that I say in this entire video. Make sure that if you even look at something on the internet, if you get an idea that sparks your imagination, you have to cite that source. It doesn't matter if you haven't taken any of the language that's used in that source. If you've taken an idea, you need to cite it. If you do take words directly from an online source, you can, but you have to cite them. They have to be in quotation marks, and you have to include an in-text citation for the resource that you used. If you don't have an in-text citation, quotations or quotation marks for words that are not your own, and an entry in your works cited section, you are plagiarizing. Be careful of that. Now, we're going to go over the topics for this essay. The topics are arranged in order of increasing complexity or difficulty in light of the material that we've covered in class. Now, you are perfectly able to achieve an incredibly successful mark, a mark in the 90s, with the earlier topics. However, it may be more difficult for you to demonstrate the ingenuity, the innovation that is necessary to achieve the highest marks using the earlier topics because they're issues that we have discussed, well, more frequently in our study of the play. The highest marks go to essays that draw on material and develop ideas that are well-grounded, but also that are innovative, things that we haven't discussed in detail or examples that I haven't chosen to unpack in the context of the video lectures. Demonstrate that you can grapple with the play and develop a unique argument, and you'll be well on your way to an excellent mark. You can do that with all the topics that I provide. However, the earlier topics are ones that we have covered in more detail, so it'll be slightly more difficult for you to do so. They're easier, safer topics because everything you need really is found in the videos to make a solid, competent essay. But if you really want to push yourself, you may want to consider developing a unique response to one of these arguments, or developing a response to one of the later arguments, drawing a material that we haven't really addressed. Again, if you take ideas from the internet, you must cite them. Topics. The first topic is on gender representation in the play. We spent a great deal of time studying Othello's heroine, Desdemona, and both Amelia and Bianca play significant roles in the play. The question that you have to answer with your thesis statement is, how does Shakespeare represent women and their natures in this play? What does he have to say about womanhood? So what is he arguing about women? This topic is thematic in nature, which means that Shakespeare you would have to say in your thesis is presenting a regressive view of women in these specific ways, or he is presenting a progressive view of women in these specific ways, or he argues that women have an inherent nature that is X, Y, or Z. It needs to be a specific, focused, thematic answer to this question. The second question is slightly different in that it asks you to provide a focused analysis of a character. So your thesis doesn't necessarily need to be about a theme, right? A kind of moral lesson. Shakespeare is saying X about women. You could argue with question 2 something about Iago himself. So the question is, what makes Iago so effective as a villain? Now, you can examine this question 2 ways. Either you can examine his character to develop an argument regarding the qualities, approaches, or attributes that make him a successful villain inside Othello. So you can look at the play, analyze the techniques that he uses, and develop those techniques, explore how he uses these techniques, what makes him so effective as this destructive force in the play. And if you take that approach, you have to be careful that you are not just summarizing what happens in the play. You have to provide examples of the specific techniques that he uses or those things about his character that make him effective or allow him to affect his plans. So watch out if you try to address this question for summary. The other way you can approach this question is by trying to consider the purpose or function of a villain in a story. Consider what we want from our villain or why we need villains. Then develop an argument that analyzes Iago and his relationship to the villain archetype. As an example, Superman is a hero. Specifically, he is a hero because he does good things. You could say that Iago is a villain because he does evil things. Okay. But if we look at the function of a hero on the level of a civilization or society, Superman is heroic to the United States of America because he embodies the values of that nation. He reflects a certain self-conception of the nation. He is an immigrant who came to the country with nothing. He was raised by wholesome Midwestern parents, and he fights for truth, justice, and the American way. So when people look at Superman, they see an instantiation, an embodiment of American values, and that's what makes him a hero specifically to this particular culture. In this sense, what is it that makes Iago an effective villain? What does it tell us about the societal presumptions or preoccupations of Shakespeare's era, or the cultural values that he is reflecting on that make Iago so effective and horrifying a villain to them? Question 3. Othello, Cassio, Iago, and other characters are intensely concerned regarding their standing in the public realm of human life. They're concerned with their reputation or with their honor. How does Shakespeare define the public sphere and the communities in which people live in these two plays? What is his definition of public community? How does he seem to view public life? What does he argue about it? If you want to address this question, think back to that summary slide or review the summary slides that I posted about Elizabethan notions regarding public life. Shakespeare is not necessarily advocating for or validating those perceptions, but they might be a good starting point to think about how you want to approach this question. Question 4. In Antony and Cleopatra, a play that could easily find its way into this course, Antony says, "If I lose my honor, I lose myself." What does the play Othello have to say about the relationship between honor and identity? If you choose to answer this question, I would exhort you not to simply say, well, Shakespeare shows that honor and identity are synonymous, or that honor influences identity. That's too broad. I would want you to try to develop a more focused and specific argument about this topic. For instance, is there a difference between the way in which men achieve honor and women achieve honor? Or is there something that compromises honor? Is it dangerous to build your identity on honor? If so, why? Try to develop this question further than just a simple statement of, let's say, honor equals identity or honor does not equal identity. Okay. And question 5. Arguably, nothing is more important in Shakespeare's plays than the stories that we tell about ourselves and others. Othello relates the story of his life to Desdemona and asks Lodovico to relate the unlucky deeds that have taken place in the play. He tells Lodovico essentially to retell the story of the play to others. Focus on moments, and there are many more than just the ones that I've mentioned, where characters tell stories and the way in which other characters respond to them. What does Shakespeare argue about storytelling in Othello? So, these are the various different topics that you have. If you have questions about any of these topics or about the essay assignment, please reach out and contact me. I'd be happy to address them. Otherwise, best of luck with this and your other final assignments.